Hey guys, what's up? It's Snake here, and I got some hardcore headquarters for you. And I know, I hate headquarters. But, we were all playing together. I had my clan going, and I don't know, it just happened. We were trying to get into a capture the flag match. And we fell into one of these, and it actually turned out to be a pretty good game, so I figured I'd edit it down, take out the silly waiting for headquarter to be destroyed crap, and lay some voiceover with it. And show you, just show you some of the gameplay. So let's see, let's get started. What is this episode going to be about? Well, I have my series on what I'd like to see in future zombie games. And future zombie levels and all that stuff. We talked about perks and a bunch of other fun things. And I said I was going to try and maybe do a bonus episode or an honorary mention episode where I talked about multiplayer. And I actually got a lot of stuff down, so this might end up being two episodes or maybe even 3 parts. We'll have to see. But enough about that. We'll get to that later on. Let's talk about perks now. As far as perks are concerned, I really only have 2 that I think would be really interesting to see. They already have tons of perks, and I like the perks that are in Black Ops. I think they work really well. And even Modern Warfare 2 perks were pretty fun too. The Commando was a little bit overpowered, and if you can, put the right combination together, you could kind of cheese pretty easily. But all in all, I think both games had some pretty decent ones. However, what I would like to see would be one that we saw in Call of Duty World at War, which is the 5th installment, the last one by Treyarch, and they had a gun or a perk called Overkill, which allowed you to have 2 primary weapons. So instead of having a pistol or a rocket launcher, or in this case a ballistic knife, you could run around with a Commando and a FAMAS, or a Galil and an AK-7, or whatever, any other combination you could possibly think of. And I think that would be a really great idea to bring it back, as long as they made sure that they balanced it out and put it in a tier that went along with something like Ghost or Marathon, or I guess it would probably be a second tier, would make most sense. You could put it up against Warlord and Sleight of Hand and Steady Aim. So, the other perks are all stuff that a lot of people really, really like, and so they'd have to make a sacrifice in order to get it, so it wouldn't be too overpowered. Another thing they could do is to kind of weaken it just a little bit, because again, running around with two main weapons is a pretty powerful perk to have. Maybe instead of having full ammo, each gun has 3/4 ammo or something like that. So you don't have as much ammo as you would normally, but you have 2 primary weapons. So in the end, you do really have the same amount, if not more, ammo in the long run, because a primary weapon has so much more ammo than a secondary does. And then another thing they could do too is, for the pro version, they could have it to where it would just double up your first gun. So instead of having 2 separate primary guns with 3/4 ammo, you would have one primary gun that now has 1 3/4 or 1.5 times the amount of ammo it normally would. So now you no longer have to switch between 2 guns, even though they're both primaries anyway, and you get the gun you really want, the one you feel most comfortable with, or whatever. And which would, of course, still maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't have perks. Maybe it would be something that you couldn't. Obviously, you couldn't use it with Warlord, so you couldn't have 2 perks on the gun. But maybe you'd still be able to use a regular gun. Maybe you could use, just like with on Warlord, you can't pick grenade launchers as one of the 2. So on this one, you couldn't pick a grenade launcher as the one attachment that you would have. So that's just an idea there. Another perk that I really like the idea of, and this isn't even my idea. I read this on Twitter. I don't know how long ago. Maybe it was a week, maybe 2 weeks. Time blurs together for me. They called it Sixth Sense, and it would be a way to counteract Ghost. So you'd be able to see people with Ghost when you had a spy plane up. And the idea itself is good, although I think it would be a bad idea to have it where you could see everybody, even Ghost people. Like, in other words, in essence, it would be like an SR-71, but with a spy plane, if you had that perk on. And the only problem I see with this, the only main problem I see with this, is that it would mean that you would have to have spy plane on. Because obviously they would want to make it just like with motion sensor. Even though you're on the same team as somebody else, if it's their motion sensor, you can't see. So obviously they would make it to where if it was your spy plane, no one else could see it, and even if they had the perk on. But instead of doing that, instead of making you rely on having to have spy plane or whatever, you could make it instead like a motion sensor that followed you around instead. So you have 6th Sense on, and you'd have the parameter of the motion sensor, and anybody that came through it or that you walked past, you would see. Except they would have to make it to where it wasn't too overpowered, because that sounds incredibly overpowered, actually. It goes back to having the, what is it, the infrared scope or something for Modern Warfare 2. No, not the infrared, what is it? The motion sensor thing attached to your gun. It would be like that. So you don't want it that overpowered. So what you would do is, instead of just having it be like the motion sensor in the game, we'd actually make it more realistic. So in other words, say somebody's camping in that corner right there that I just came by. Well, if I had the perk on and I was looking up at my map, and I was running, if he was standing still, I wouldn't see him, even if he was in the parameter, because he's not moving, therefore no motion sensor. And then the other thing too is you would have to make it to where the regular version you'd be able to just see regular people as you ran past them or they ran past you. Again, if they didn't move, you couldn't see them. And then the pro version would allow you to see the ghost people too. But then you would have to put it up against Ghost, so you couldn't be running around with both Ghost and 6th Sense and, I don't know, something else ridiculous like Ninja. So in other words, you'd be Mr. Camp. There'd be no way for anyone to get you. So you'd have to put it up against Ghost, in order to make it really balanced out. So then you'd have the people who are searching and the people who are hiding. So I think that would be a really good idea. And kudos to whoever it was that came up with. I apologize for not remembering. Just in case you see the video, I don't want you to think I'm a dick. But let's see. Oh, and then another thing that I thought would be a great idea, and this goes with weapons, or with weapon attachments, I should say. I like the infrared scope, and it's fun to use every once in a while, but I'm not that great at it. And I think I could get better if I took the time, but I think a better way to do it, a better way to make it sort of like a middle ground for people, is to have, and not just with the infrared scope, but with any scope too, you could have a button on the D-pad, perhaps, that would switch to have the scope on or off. So you could be running around with the infrared scope, and that's my class. I like that class, and instead of making two classes where I have one with the infrared scope on and one with it off, I could have it to where, okay, we're playing this game in Grid, there's a lot of long spaces, but there's some short areas too. So I'm about to go inside, so I press the D-pad, and the infrared scope bends to the side, and I can run in here and still aim down my sights if they're just far enough away to where steady aim's not going to work, but not far enough away where the infrared scope's going to look weird or it's going to handicap me in some way. And then when I run outside, and there's more open area, or if I'm looking out there looking at the person in the window, I could flip it back up. And so then it wouldn't make it as much of a handicap for people who aren't good with it yet, and making it harder for them to really practice. Because let's face it, I mean, it's nice that they gave us the whatever it is, the training mode, but the way the AI works is it's just not really that good to train with. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if there was some other way they could fix it. Obviously it would probably take a lot of computing power, not powder. But maybe if there was some way where the computer could learn from the other people you played with and sort of create tactics for the AI based on that. But again, I don't know. I don't make games. I don't deal with computers really, so I don't know exactly how far-fetched that kind of AI is, or how complicated it would be to write. Considering the games, cost $60. I don't know. Maybe that's something that's so ridiculous, so far out there. At the moment, with the technology we have, that the game would have to be way too much for anybody that would really want to buy it to play it, you know what I'm saying? So let's see, let's get back on track though. Tactical grenades, or specifically one tactical grenade that I think would be really neat. And this is sort of a similar idea to the 6th Sense perk as far as tracking is concerned, but what if you had a tracker grenade, and you could toss it just like any tac grenade, you could, but you'd only have one instead of two, like some of the tac grenades you have. And what it would do is it would act as a tracker for an X amount of time, like 10 seconds or 20 seconds or something like that, and it would actually become a pinger, so that even if you didn't have a spy plane up, or even if you were playing in hardcore, all your other teammates are now aware of that one person, where he is. So you could use it in like operation games, where you toss it on somebody that you're following, and then you try and engage with them, and even if you die, now everybody knows that person's over there, they're trying to get to the flag, or plant the bomb, or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? So I think that would be a pretty cool idea. One of the other ideas I had too is about camo. First off, I think it's pretty clear that anyone who plays zombies knows how sick the Pack-a-Punch camo is. I mean, that camo is sick. It's awesome. It's like all black, shiny, with the red lines and circles in it, like some sort of microchip or something. Why isn't that in the game? I want that in the game. I would pay $50,000 for that, or 50,000 COD points for that easily, because it's so much cooler than gold camo. As neat as gold camo is, and hey, look at me, I got to 15th prestige or 14th prestige or whatever it is. I want the black one. I would pay 50,000 COD points for the black one. I'd go through and make all of my favorite guns with that camo, because that camo is just sick. But another idea for camos would be custom camos too. Why don't we have custom camos yet? After a certain level you unlock it, or once you prestige for the first time you could unlock it, and then you could go out and take a picture, or they have like preset designs or stuff like that you can then mix together. Take a picture off of a USB or something like that, or take a picture with the Xbox or PSN cameras, and then you just overlay that onto the gun. I'm sure I want to say that might have been done in Rainbow Six, not the picture part, but just the customized camo. Or no, it was Metal Gear Solid 3. That's what it is. You can customize the camo on your body, or on your clothes. But why not have it with the guns? Why not have it with the guns? And then another idea, as far as making the whole multiplayer experience a lot more customizable, is why not? Because I know with this one they tried to make it to where, okay, you're a ghost, so you have the camouflage outfit on and stuff like that, and so they have a different, for each of the different first classes, they have a different look, and then they have a different one of those for each of the different armies or groups or whatever. But what if you had instead 6 different ghost designs, and then 6 different hardline designs, and 6 different this and 6 different that, and so then you have however many of those there are of each of the groups, each of the armies. So then that way you could get into a match, and even if all of y'all wanted to put on ghosts, you'd all look slightly different. You'd all be able to tell the difference from each other. And so then that way too, because I don't know, I just think it would be neat if they did that. It's not really something that's necessary, but I can't tell you how many times, and maybe y'all have experienced this too, but I'll be running and I'll be chasing somebody, and I get shot by a guy that's wearing Ghost. And then I'll run around the corner and I'm on the other side of the map after I respawn, and somehow he's there killing me again. And I know, because I look at the bottom, that it's not the same person, but you think you keep running into this same guy over and over again, and it's not always the same person all the time. But it's because, everybody on that team is wearing Ghost, or everybody on that team is, got flak jacket on if they're playing Demolition or something like that. So I think it would be neat if we just had, if they went ahead and took that next step, because soon they are going to be releasing Elite, or the Elite Call of Duty, I guess in November, right? Yeah. When the new game comes out. So there's going to be a bigger influx of money for them. So I think that's one of the things they definitely need to take a step up to, and start making a higher degree of customization with the game. So that's going to be it for this episode. But tune in next time. I'm probably going to have 2 more of this. So peace out, guys.